Welcome to our immigration briefing show. Today, we're bringing you a lively roundup of some of the most talked about immigration stories. First up, a dramatic raid in Colorado Springs where over 100 migrants were detained at an illegal nightclub suspected of drug trafficking and gang ties. This operation involved hundreds of officers and marked one of the largest crackdowns since President Trump took office, highlighting ongoing efforts to enforce immigration laws. Next, a quick scoop about a thief who stole a high-end Gucci purse belonging to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Turns out, the suspect is in the U.S. illegally and was caught on security footage scouting the room before making a swift snatch. Law enforcement is now on the lookout for a second suspect, emphasizing the importance of cracking down on illegal activities involving undocumented individuals. Finally, a heartfelt and controversial topic: families torn apart by deportations. Recent cases reveal U.S. citizen children being separated from their undocumented mothers, including infants and children with health issues. Critics argue these actions are rushed and unjust, raising serious questions about the fairness of current immigration enforcement policies. Please continue to watch for more detailed insights. CNN reports a significant crackdown on illegal immigration in Colorado, where over 100 migrants were arrested during a raid on an underground nightclub. The operation, carried out by federal agents, uncovered a bustling scene with over 200 people present, of whom 114 were found to be in the U.S. illegally. Authorities seized drugs including cocaine, meth, and pink cocaine, highlighting the intersection of immigration enforcement and drug trafficking concerns. This raid marks one of the largest since President Trump took office, reflecting his administration's intensified efforts to deport undocumented immigrants, especially targeting those associated with gangs like MS-13 and Venezuelan groups such as Tren de Aragua. The operation was preceded by warnings to occupants to come out, emphasizing a strategic approach to enforcement that aims to dismantle clandestine venues often linked to criminal activity. The Independent details a shocking incident involving the theft of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's designer purse in Washington, D.C. The suspect, identified as an illegal immigrant, was caught on security footage meticulously scouting the scene before snatching the $4,400 Gucci bag filled with cash, personal keys, and her DHS access badge. Law enforcement officials, including ICE, confirmed the suspect's illegal status and described him as a professional thief who knew exactly what he was doing. Despite the presence of security personnel, the thief managed to execute a swift, calculated heist, raising questions about security protocols for high-profile government officials. The case underscores ongoing concerns about the safety of public figures and the ease with which skilled criminals can exploit vulnerabilities, especially those with illegal backgrounds. The Independent also covers a contentious debate over the Trump administration's immigration policies, particularly the deportation of U.S. citizen children. Secretary of State Marco Rubio vehemently denies that citizens are being deported, asserting that only their undocumented mothers are removed, with children accompanying them by choice. However, reports reveal heartbreaking cases of young children, some as young as 2, being deported along with their illegal immigrant mothers, often without adequate legal recourse or contact with family members. Critics argue that ICE's actions are inhumane, especially when U.S. citizen children are detained or deported without proper safeguards. Meanwhile, officials like Trump's border czar Tom Homan dismiss claims that having a U.S. citizen child provides immunity from deportation, emphasizing that illegal entry does not exempt individuals from law enforcement. This ongoing controversy highlights the administration's aggressive stance on immigration enforcement, including efforts to deport suspected gang members under wartime laws, stirring intense debate over the balance between national security and human rights. The Toronto Star vividly recounts a dramatic federal raid at an illegal nightclub in Colorado, where over 100 immigrants suspected of illegal status were swiftly detained by a large coalition of law enforcement agencies. The operation, which responded to months of investigation into drug trafficking, prostitution, and violence, saw agents smashing windows and commanding patrons to surrender with their hands raised. Among those apprehended were active-duty military personnel, highlighting the complex intersection of military involvement and criminal activity. The raid seized drugs, guns, and uncovered a scene of chaos and danger, with authorities claiming that the community's safety was significantly enhanced by this decisive action. The Independent provides a gripping account of a broader crackdown in Colorado, emphasizing the scale and intensity of the operation involving over 300 federal agents from multiple agencies. The raid targeted an underground nightclub linked to notorious gangs like Tren de Aragua and MS-13, notorious for their violent and illicit activities. As agents stormed the premises in the early hours, footage captured the tense moments of officers smashing windows and forcing patrons to the ground, with some attempting to flee. The operation resulted in the arrest of at least 114 individuals, with drugs, weapons, and gang affiliations highlighted as major concerns. The involvement of active-duty military personnel and the connection to violent gangs underscored the seriousness of the threat perceived by authorities. Yahoo US offers an investigative glimpse into the alleged human smuggling and money laundering network surrounding Glass America in Ohio. Federal documents reveal that weeks before a large raid, employees who were not authorized to work in the U.S. began disappearing, and security footage uncovered suspicious activity involving vans filled with foreign workers, many with questionable legal status. The investigation traced a complex web of companies and individuals linked to a money laundering operation, with court filings pointing to illegal employment practices, forged documents, and potential human trafficking. The ongoing probe highlights the deep-rooted issues of illegal labor, corporate complicity, and organized crime, raising questions about oversight and corporate responsibility in the face of such systemic violations. The Toronto Star vividly reports the heartbreaking stories of immigrant mothers and their children being swiftly deported by ICE, often within days of routine check-ins. These women, many of whom are in vulnerable situations, such as a mother of a child with cancer or a pregnant woman, are denied fair legal processes and meaningful opportunities to decide whether their US-born children should stay in America. Lawyers and advocacy groups describe these actions as shocking abuses of power, highlighting the emotional trauma inflicted on families, especially when children are forcibly sent to countries they have little connection with, leaving behind loved ones and support networks. The cases raise profound questions about the fairness and humanity of current immigration enforcement, with federal judges questioning whether proper procedures were followed and emphasizing the need for more just processes. Meanwhile, the South China Morning Post paints a somber picture of Southeast Asian communities, particularly Laotian and Hmong populations, facing the threat of deportation after decades of resettlement in the U.S. due to the devastating aftermath of the secret war in Laos and the subsequent persecution by the communist regime. ICE's increasingly aggressive tactics, often carried out without warning or legal representation, have left these communities in a state of fear and uncertainty. Many deportees find themselves in Laos, a country where they have no ties or support, often in semi-detention facilities, with some facing the trauma of returning to a land they've never known. Advocates argue that these deportations amount to double punishment, especially for those who have already served time for past crimes, and highlight the complex, often inhumane, nature of the deportation policies that threaten to erase years of integration and community life. The Canadian press highlights stories of hope and resilience amid the political debates over immigration levels and policies. Immigrant candidates like Malalai Halimi and others emphasize the opportunities Canada offers, opportunities they never imagined while fleeing war-torn countries like Afghanistan and Burundi. These stories underscore the importance of inclusive policies and support systems that help newcomers integrate and thrive. Despite political rhetoric about controlling immigration levels, many candidates and community leaders advocate for a welcoming approach, emphasizing that Canada's strength lies in its diversity and the opportunities it provides. The election presents a pivotal moment for shaping future immigration policies, with candidates highlighting the significance of supporting newcomers through resources like settlement services, social housing, and fair legal processes, reinforcing the idea that in Canada, there is genuine opportunity for those seeking a better life. The Toronto Star vividly captures the chilling reality faced by Faisal Kuddy, a Canadian lawyer and law professor, who was denied the chance to attend his beloved uncle Asmatullah Khan's funeral due to fears of being flagged, interrogated, or barred from re-entering the United States. Despite his Canadian citizenship and legal standing, Kuddy was warned that his outspoken criticism of U.S. foreign policy, especially his defense of Palestinian rights and critique of anti-BDS legislation, could be construed as national security threats under the Trump administration. This political repression extended beyond borders, creating a climate of fear that silenced personal mourning and disenfranchised him from participating in a fundamental democratic act, voting in person. Kuddy's story exemplifies how the weaponization of immigration laws and border security for ideological control erodes civil liberties, impacting not just Americans but Canadians with deep transnational ties, raising profound questions about the true meaning of freedom and democracy in an age of rising authoritarian impulses. The Independent reports on the aggressive expansion of immigration enforcement in Florida, where nearly 800 undocumented immigrants were apprehended in a sweeping operation called Operation Tidal Wave. Law enforcement agencies, empowered by ICE's 287(g) agreements, collaborated with local police to execute what officials describe as a massive, multi-agency crackdown, signaling a disturbing escalation in deportation efforts. Advocates warn that such large-scale raids threaten to break apart families and foster a climate of fear among immigrant communities, with some local officials, like Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis, openly supporting the aggressive approach and threatening to escalate enforcement. This nationwide push mirrors the political climate of the Trump era, with increased public backlash reflected in declining approval ratings for Trump's immigration policies, especially following controversial deportations like that of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The article underscores the dangerous trajectory of U.S. immigration policy, where mass arrests and deportations are increasingly normalized, often at the expense of due process and human rights, fueling a climate of intimidation and exclusion. The Toronto Star further explores the troubling conditions faced by immigrants detained at Guantanamo Bay, where civil rights advocates have raised alarms about extreme isolation, lack of legal access, and oppressive detention practices. A recent lawsuit highlights the environment of fear and intimidation that detainees endure, with reports of chained prisoners, monitored communications, and interrogations that violate constitutional rights. Detainees, many seeking asylum from political conflict, describe being subjected to inhumane treatment, such as being locked in windowless cells for days or having their attorney-client privilege compromised through monitored calls. This situation exemplifies how the U.S. government's use of Guantanamo as a detention hub for deportation and immigration enforcement has created a stark landscape of abuse and deprivation of rights, raising urgent concerns about the erosion of legal protections and the moral implications of such detention practices in the pursuit of immigration control. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation reports that the Dutton-led coalition is considering making electric vehicle drivers contribute to road maintenance costs, though they deny this would be a new tax. Transport spokesperson Bridget McKenzie emphasizes that EV owners should pay their fair share, similar to fuel excise contributions from traditional motorists, highlighting concerns over eroding federal revenue from fuel taxes. Yet, she remains vague on how such a road use charge would be implemented, stressing that they are not proposing new taxes, even as they plan to weaken existing standards and reverse fringe benefits tax concessions for EVs, raising questions about their broader approach to EV policy and infrastructure funding. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel details the case of Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a Mexican immigrant facing multiple charges including battery and domestic abuse, who was controversially arrested by ICE agents during a court appearance. Flores Ruiz's background reveals a history of deportation after illegal re-entry into the U.S., with fingerprint analysis linking him to prior criminal cases. The arrest took place in a courtroom under the oversight of Judge Hannah Dugan, raising concerns about the intersection of immigration enforcement and judicial proceedings, especially given the sensitive context of his legal issues and the federal agent's decision to apprehend him during his pretrial hearing. The Toronto Star reports on the arrest of a Coast Guard member's wife at the U.S. Naval Air Station in Key West, Florida, after she was flagged during a routine security check due to her expired visa, which had been invalid since 2017. The woman, married to an active-duty Coast Guardsman, was detained by Homeland Security investigations following her attempt to access military housing, highlighting ongoing immigration enforcement within military communities. The incident underscores the complexities faced by military families with immigration issues, with authorities confirming her detention but withholding details about her nationality or further charges, amid broader federal immigration enforcement efforts under the current administration. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Empty smiles, their words mislead. Undocumented.